Here is why a global currency will fail, probably after 20 years, if it ever comes to fruition. Everywhere you look, especially on my side of YouTube, right? It's talk. They are going to introduce this. They are going to introduce that. I absolutely hate the idea of talking in this deterministic way that it is, because, and I honestly think this is why these YouTube channels are up and have a lot of views, even though they're talk quote against the system. They are so pessimistic and deterministic that they are allowed to have a lot of views, while other YouTubers barely have a few views. And that's because the take on it is different. They're describing the thing, right? A global currency introduction, a global currency reset. But as long as you talk about it deterministically, that you have no control over, get prepared, doom and gloom, fire in the background, scary faces, click and bait and click, you're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say how evil they are. You're allowed to say how bad they are, as long as you always point to a deterministic, predetermined end goal that's already decided for you. This is how you prepare for it, as if it was already here, because they want to manifest that into reality through you. Because by you accepting the fact that this is done and you're small and there's nothing that you can do, and you just have to accept it, like that it's a thing, then they're all fine with that. Totally fine, no problem. As soon as you search for alternatives or ways for how to resist it and how to not use it, or peacefully resist this and just refuse it, then your views will gonna go down. That's it, no problem. So beware of those channels, whether they like it or not, whether they know or they don't know the fact, but they are serving the system. Okay, so push back even against your friends, even against your YouTubers, that hey, this is not decided, I can opt out of this, I don't have to use it. Systems have failed, big systems have failed, and sometimes it takes time, but you can refuse it. It's your right to refuse that, right? Peacefully. So okay, so what do we talk about then, right? Well, how can we barter, how can we trade in a different medium, in a different medium of exchange? And that is kind of the problem to solve. But we have to solve this problem before anything happens, because if this problem is solved before anything is introduced, then you already have a better alternative than the blob that is kind of wants to consume everything. And that was my biggest issue with Bitcoin and some of the other cryptocurrencies, not all, but most of them, was that really it just serves the system. This digital gold aspect of it is flawed, because that is not why it was introduced, right? It's not like a store of value. It wasn't supposed to be a store of value. You have plenty of stores of value elsewhere. What it was introduced for is for us to do commerce, right, outside of the system. And it's traceable, it's fine, no problem. You can easily pay taxes on it, whatever, I don't care. What we need is for me to send money to you without anyone in between being able to stop that, right? It's fine if it's traceable, I don't care too much about that. I want to buy eggs with it. You cannot do that with Bitcoin, not with these prices, right? So that's what, first of all, I don't like. But I introduced the thing that while global currencies will fail, because we need a pricing mechanism. I need to know, I need to be able to calculate how much does it make, how much does it cost me to produce toilet paper, right? I need to know how much does it cost for me to produce toilet paper, so I know what to sell it at, right? And this is just regular growth economics. So I need to have that knowledge, right? So I need to put together everything, I'll calculate it, I produce it, and then I sell it, right? But if the medium exchange is tainted, right, and it's tainted and inflating at a certain point where it's incalculable, where everything is being printed out and put into your bank account via modern monetary theory, it doesn't make sense for you to do anything, right? You cannot calculate it because the whole measuring system is being controlled. Think about it that, you know, you're trying to go and build a house, but inches are a different size tomorrow, right? So you pick out, you know, you pick up your measuring tool, and the inches have shrunk in the meantime, and that just doesn't make sense. And with this kind of like always inflating away of the value, it was okay because you knew it was always shrinking. But if it fluctuates too much, you cannot do business, right? So you need something stable, you need something to measure with, right? And also value, just it's in your head, right? It's kind of like a piece of paper or even a piece of gold or even a Bitcoin doesn't have value. We associate value to it because we think that we know that someone else will take that tomorrow, right? That's the only guarantee. That's why I'm willing to toil and work for paper or digits on a screen, because I think that the system is there where I can trade those digits in a fair way with you tomorrow. So I can have the fruit of your labor tomorrow, right? If that system is meddled with and it's constantly fluctuating, it doesn't make any sense for me to work. That's what happens in hyperinflation, or that's what happens when government sets prices for you, right? They need to be able to calculate everything everywhere, and that was like a big problem. And eventually, after communism failed, you know, even the most socialist economists kind of knew, well, this is kind of impossible. And now their biggest hope is that, okay, with AI and with everything intact, we can calculate and pre-calculate everything, and we can micromanage your life, right? And that's where we go back to Soviet Romania, where they can calculate how many electrical plugs you need in the house too, right? That was the number at certain power cords, right? So it's absolutely crazy. It will fail, no problem, but you have to survive through that. You have to survive through that if it ever gets introduced. They're going to try to introduce it, right? So what does everything fall back to? Well, you have basic rights, right? You have basic rights, your freedom to express yourself, your freedom to defend yourself, right? And the freedom to do commerce with anyone and everyone that you want to, right? And that is what you have to rely on. So fighting for the right to express yourself, to put flawed ideas out in the sunlight is the most important thing, right? And as soon as that is threatened, then your right to self-defense comes. Your right to defend your self-expression comes back. So after that, but here's the things with rights. Rights are like muscles. You either use them or you lose them. And that is the biggest problem with the newest generation, is that nobody's using their rights anymore. You have to go out and use your rights every day. Use your right to cash. Use the right to express yourself. Use the right to defend yourself. And do it in such a way where it's inspirational for others. You cannot get mad and put your fist up in the air and kind of shake it, because that's not inspiring. Nobody wants to be mad. Nobody wants to be angry. Nobody wants to be pissed off. And if you're exercising these basic human rights that are God-given, right, in such an angry way, you're not inspiring anyone. So your job is to push back with a smile on your face, peacefully resist, and exercise your rights. And all of this will just fall away and fade away. All right, so let's do that.